I appreciate you coming on our first episode of the podcast, and I'd love to take it back, way back, to tell me what was life like before you got into real estate and insurance.
Oh, man. Well, first, I'm glad to be on the first episode. It's kind of like full circle,
Oh,
you know?
yes.
First episode.
Big time.
Before real estate, I was selling guitars at Guitar Center. Not just guitars, equipment and stuff. But long story short, my mom was going through an eviction. I was at Guitar Center, started trading, and then ended up making, I think, like $25,000. Bought my first house. And then when I bought my first house, I realized that life wasn't sweet because all my money now was going towards a mortgage, was going towards bills. And I was like, I cannot accomplish my dreams doing a 9-to-5, especially because it wasn't a 9-to-5. I was a customer service manager, so I was working from 9 o'clock in the morning to like 9 o'clock at night.
Oh my gosh.
It was crazy.
12-hour days.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I was making all right money, probably like $15 an hour. I wasn't doing anything. I was just standing there telling people, what to do, dealing with customers. Yeah. But it's not who I saw myself out to be. I always, believed that there was, I don't want to be that person in their deathbed looking at the version that they could have became. And then that would haunt me before I die. Like, this is who you could be, right?
Yeah.
So I knew that I wanted to do something else. And this is at the start of my spirituality. I prayed in a little room. It was a room like this in the back where we just got lunch. It had a fridge, a microwave, and a table. I prayed, and I was like, man, I need something. I don't know what, but throw something my way, God, and I'll make it work, right?
Wow.
So, yeah. And then that same day, you came in the afternoon, and you wanted an audio interface.
Wow.
Yeah,
I do remember that day.
Yeah, you wanted an Apollo. Yeah, you wanted $1,000 audio interface. And I was like, no, get this M Audio, this Scarlett interface is the same thing.
Yeah, you definitely knew your stuff, and that stood out right away. Because I was willing to pay, but instead of pushing me towards something more expensive, you were pushing me towards quality. And I recognized that as a salesman, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great stuff.
Which is crazy, because looking back is like, imagine I was commission hungry.
I know.
That would have
100%. Yeah.
I feel like that's something that I look at a lot, is that when you ask God for opportunities, He's not just going to present them to you, He's going to test you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like that was a test for me, whether I was in it for the money or if I really was a good person. And I feel like that choice really just, made me who I am today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can see that. And there is something to be said about listening to God. They often say He speaks to the Holy Spirit. And I do remember that day because I was having kind of a bad day that day. And I was just kind of taking a break and decided to go look at some stuff for recording. And Spirit spoke to me at the register and said, offer this boy real estate. And I was like, I don't really want to talk to anybody right now.
Yeah.
And it gently whispered and nudged again, you need to offer this man real estate. So, hey, you ever thought about real estate?
That's literally what you said, too. Same tone.
And your eyes popped up so fast, and you were like, yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
I literally just bought a house 2 weeks ago.
I was not expecting that when that happened, because I've asked that question, over the last decade many times, and there was just something in your eyes that said, this person is actually very, very interested,
Yeah. I'll be honest, man, it was such a crazy coincidence. I mean, I think it's just full circle moment, because that really that moment really made me start believing maybe there is something out there that's listening, And now I'm fully, going to church. I like to praise God in everything that I do, and you'll probably hear me bring it up 20, 30 times.
Of course.
But that one moment was all I needed.
No, it's amazing, because I remember when you came into your interview a few days later, I tried to share with you, the testimony of how Spirit nudged me to speak to you. And as soon as I said Spirit, you were like, I don't believe in God, or something to that effect. More like agnostic.
I'm agnostic,
where, you're kind of just borderline. And I said, no, that's fine, and I wanted to relate to you. So I think I expressed to you that, the Holy Spirit, I think, is deeper than what most people think that it is. I think it goes way back to the indigenous people before buildings even knew how to be erected.
Yeah.
There was still something that connected us to God. And if you align with it, there is a lot that can be done for you. And I think, like you were saying, meeting you and where you are now, like God had to do his 10,000 things in order to answer your one prayer of, is there something else out there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's an amazing story, I think, of how it began the opening of your mind to the power of God if you align with it.
True.
So that's fantastic, man.
And that was just the beginning, because I mean, afterwards, what I also find full circle moment is that you knew the person that sold the house to me. Shout out Billy Pritchard.
Billy Pritchard, yep.
Pritchard.
Pritchard, no, it's quite all right.
Him and Mike sold me my first house, and you offered me a job.
That is
so
unbelievable.
It's like,
those three guys, huh?
Yeah. It's so wild, because I really like the way I was talking to Billy when he sold me my house. I was like, what about this? What about that? I was already interested in real estate.
Wow.
And it's just so funny how a random Kiwi just walks in, but somehow it's connected already. It's kind of like an extra cherry on top, like, yeah, this is me. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. But when I got into real estate, I actually ended up quitting my job on a whim. I passed I passed my real estate exam. I think it was in November, around that time. And all I had was tax returns. I had like $5,000 in tax returns. And I was like, I just bought a house. I have $5,000. I'm quitting my job. I'm either going to make it or I'm not.
Hey, so I get it, man. I love it. Like, you were all in, and it's like, nothing left to lose, but I feel like I'm going to win. Let's roll with it. That's good, man. I mean, I was very amazed by your track record in the beginning, and your willingness to do the things that had brought me success, through the years. So I tried to impart upon you, sales skills, funnel building, voice inflection, the kind of things that make you effective as someone who has to present a product, and how to do it so that you can get to the other side, which is a closing at the very end. So if you don't mind sharing with me, like, how did some of those skill sets that we were imparting upon you at Bridge, how did that impact you early in your career?
So early impacted me a lot, because I was already into sales at Guitar Center, but I never looked at it at a deep level. It was more of like I knew how to assume a close in a way, like, hey, we're going to get this, and that, but never to the extreme of I'm helping somebody buy a house that's $300,000, or helping somebody sell a house that's $300,000. That was completely different. So those same tactics would have not worked here.
Right.
And one thing that I did notice was that, like, the things you taught us to me seemed normal, but when you compared it to every other team, it was kind of like we were like 3-5 steps ahead, because a lot of them didn't even know how to make a cold call. They didn't even know how to have a listing appointment. And that just falls back to mentorship.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Absolutely.
So a lot of people that were like, why are you on a team? They're taking a certain percentage of your commission, but what they weren't seeing was everything that I was gaining on the back end.
Yes, indeed.
I was gaining leads. I was gaining mentorship. I was gaining scripts. I was gaining partnerships.
Yeah.
So everything like that I needed within my first year, it was like I had it.
Yes.
So that's what I really enjoyed.
That's fantastic. And I think that after we decided to open up Bridge Realty Group from the team, we were very happy to remove that second split that you were having to pay.
Oh, I love that.
which gave you a raise, gave all of the agents a raise. And that's what we continue to operate on here today, is almost a team style support at our brokerage, but with only one split.
Yeah.
So that's great that you went through there and you became a top producer here at Bridge. And then where you are now, you've moved into insurance and financial advisory.
Now we could say a financial advisor.
Yes, I added that in there, brother, because I understand the congratulations is in order.
Yeah.
You just passed the Series 7 yesterday.
Yes, yesterday. It's crazy.
Tell us about that.
Well, I got into insurance, I would say, with New York Life as a means to build within a corporate 500, a Fortune 500 company. I liked the fact that, oh, you're fine. Oh, I am?
Because you were so far.
Oh.
That's fine.
I didn't want to get too close and get like,
I can turn it down if I need to.
Yeah, please. There we go. Yeah, it's nice. What was I saying?
So at New York Life, you got into it as a way to build more connections and help the clientele that you're kind of already helping.
Yeah. Well, if I were to compare to real estate, it was just more of something that I wanted to do now. Real estate, being a top producer, it takes a lot. So I really was looking at it in a way of like, okay, I'm good at real estate. I could do this. If I hate it, I could always come back.
True.
I ended up taking it. I liked it. So I ended up choosing to become more of a financial advisor within our community. So I ended up doing that. And now I have opportunities to be a partner with New York Life, senior partner, that kind of thing in the future, of course. So overall, I love real estate. I'll just say that whenever you don't have the right mentorship, whenever somebody who is good has to deal with that, it could ruin the experience.
Oh, yes.
Because that's what happened to me. And if we're going to just say how it is.
Yeah, 100%.
That really ruined it for me. I was, like you said, a top producer. I was closing like 5 to 10 deals.
Yes.
But what I didn't like, I'm not going to say hate, but what I really, really, really didn't like was having to deal with realtors that didn't know what they were doing.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
That's something we struggle with in our industry.
Yeah. So I feel like right now with real estate, I think real estate as a profession could be highly respected if we have more people like you.
Appreciate that.
People that actually took it seriously. Like when I look at you, I don't look at a realtor. I think attorney, lawyer, somebody that you need in your back pocket whenever the time comes.
Agreed.
But a lot of these people, they're not like that. Like we've dealt with my last 2 deals. One of them, we got the broker involved and they couldn't even do anything. This lady was just talking crazy. And
I
this is
still want to bring her up to the board.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it because I think you have like a year to do it. And I think back to that and that was just horrid.
We're talking about like a 50-year-old that is acting younger than me.
Like a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
calling me names. It's crazy.
Obscenities, and even racial slurs.
Yeah.
It was really, really unbelievable. And that comes from our industry. And I can totally understand what you're saying because even just last week, I had a conversation with a property manager who owns his own company, as far as brokerage company, and they're a property management company. Long story short, locked one of my clients into owner management agreement. And then afterwards, after everything was said and done and they got their tenant and everybody got paid and all the paperwork was in compliance, he had to call me and let me know that, he didn't appreciate the way that I came at him, and that the client called him and let him know that everything was okay. And I told him, it's very probable that you got 2 sides of the story that they want you to hear because they have to work with you now. And then there's the real story. And the fact is you locked a client into an agreement without them understanding what it was they were signing. And he said, it's not my responsibility to let somebody know what they're signing. It's on them to read it. And I said, well, you and I look at real estate much different, sir. Yeah. You have a license, right? The Louisiana Real Estate Commission says that it is our responsibility to ensure they understand what it is they're signing so that they don't get contractually obligated into something they don't want to be in. And that's a perfect example of what you're describing, is that there's a bunch of people out there practicing real estate that don't honor their fiduciary and they don't do it right. They're only out for themselves. Yeah. And that's sad that pushed you out of the industry. And at the same time, a blessing to be where you are now, because that inability to resonate with that led you to other places where you still get to benefit from the residual of real estate services and service clients in a new way with a new product and make even more money from what I understand.
Yeah. It's crazy because you and New York Life worked something out that no other realtor has been able to work out. Apparently, I'm the only person in life insurance and financial advising that has an OBA in real estate. Wow. In like the United States, which is crazy.
Amazing.
So out of like everybody, I'm the only one. And can I talk about it? So
yeah, absolutely.
So the one thing that I love about this brokerage is the flexibility that y'all have with working with me. Obviously, when I could have said, "Hey, I'm leaving. I'm going over here," you could have been like, "It is what it is."
That's it. Yeah.
And I'm not helping you anymore. Just like many other brokerages probably would have, because they only like you when you're producing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know.
But you were like, no, I'm willing to work with you. Let's make something work. And now every lead that I have, I could bring it to you. You could work them with Joel, somebody that speaks Spanish, Nanette, my Spanish lender, and I still get a percentage off of that.
That's amazing.
And I
Yes.
think last year I made 40 grand. Just 40 grand
It's
off
amazing.
of referrals.
That is amazing.
So yeah, think about it. So it's like I'm making my full, it's like $5,000 base at New York Life every month, plus commissions, plus 40,000 in real estate. It's crazy.
Yes.
I'm about to buy my second house. We're actually gonna go look at them today.
Look at that, man.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable, man.
So it's like everything worked out perfectly. So yeah, this is why I like this brokerage, man. It's also really nice to work with somebody that's smart. Man, I'll be honest. I told this to men. I was like, I and I hope nobody takes it the wrong way. I only like 5 realtors.
Yeah.
Like maybe like 10 tops. Everybody else, it just.
I get it.
But I was like, if everybody carried themselves like you carry yourself, like with professionalism, knowing the actual laws behind real estate, following fiduciaries, this wouldn't be such a bad job.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Yeah, but unfortunately, that's not the case.
It's not.
Yeah.
That's the furthest thing from
Yeah.
it. There wouldn't be an acronym going around "Make Acadiana Real Estate Great Again" if it was, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of folks out there that I feel like have come into the industry since, you know, when their interest rates dropped to 1% and 2%. Everyone was like, "Oh, let me go in there and get in real estate."
Yeah.
It's a different game now, and I think those people that are still around, they're producing. Excuse me, but they didn't put the time into learning the practice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what you're alluding to. And I appreciate that statement because it's a statement that not a lot of people are confident enough to make and brave enough to make. And being that you're straddling the industries, it's a little easier for you to make because you are on the outside in a different industry, servicing clients in a different way, and still looking back at the real estate industry and saying, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
As a whole, you know what I mean? There really should be, instead of the division that gets created by a lot of top agents, what about the inclusion and the camaraderie of the community so that we as a community of realtors can assist the public in a greater way?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's not a lot of that. There's way more division in real estate.
I feel like in a perfect world, real estate should have more tests. That's my personal.
I could see that.
Just because I feel like if I'm, and this is one of my biggest issues with it, right? If I'm a 19-year-old and I come as a real estate agent, I personally feel that 19-year-old probably isn't as worth as somebody like you who's been in the industry for 20, 30 years, right? So for me, it's like in New York Life, one thing that they do is that they make you take all these tests and they make you take all these certifications. And I think if real estate was like that, it would be much more balanced than it is. Because right now I go to like these, not the mastermind, it's a Facebook group. You know which one I'm talking about? The Facebook group?
Which one?
It's a realtor group on
Ra?
Facebook. No.
Real estate mastermind?
I think that's what it is.
Okay.
And bro, all I see is like politics.
Oh man.
And like
lots of
racism.
complaining.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
It's crazy. And I'm just like, or the realtors that just post videos making fun of like listing people that like for sale by owners and buyers.
Yes.
And I'm just like, imagine if a lawyer did that.
Right.
Imagine if an attorney did that.
You certainly wouldn't want to use them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
I
then-
don't get that offensive type stuff. It's like
Yeah.
you're making realtors laugh, but
Yeah.
what are you doing for your clientele or potential clients?
You're making all of us look bad at that point.
Exactly.
Because like now you're just feeding the narrative to these for sale by owners and everybody
100%.
else that, oh, all these realtors want to do is joke around and take our money. So
Agreed.
Whenever there's people like you in the business that actually take this seriously and this is something that you actually are passionate about.
Yeah,
So it's like some people treat it as a joke.
I agree.
And that's what I don't like. you
I
know?
agree with that. I do try to put out the content that helps to guide for sale by owners or sellers specifically, and even some buyers and buyers agents as far as the new dynamic of the NAR settlement and how that's impacting what previously, since the 50s, was a colluded market.
Yeah.
Driven by the local real estate boards, which they're now on the chopping block. There's 5 states now that have lawsuits filed
that. Wow.
against the local boards now. They're going after the local boards. Because if you go back to the 50s, that's where it started, was the local boards or the local brokers got together and said, let's make a board that you can have to be a part of that will separate. And it was a great intention at the time to separate an agent from a realtor. You know what I mean? So that they could have some prestige and separate themselves from, say, a shyster, which probably existed back then. But since the settlement, now it's like realtors don't necessarily, like what you're talking about, don't have that prestige anymore. In fact, they have a stigma because of the content that's coming out, because of the experiences that are coming out, because of the commission hunger that lies in the potential of real estate. It's really sad, and I'm anxious to see how it plays out in the next 3 to 5 years when the local boards get the same kind of lawsuit that the NAR happened. So I'm definitely watching. I'm in real estate. I don't know that I'm ever going anywhere else aside from investing and leveling up.
Yeah, of course. Which you've already have a lot.
Which
so.
I have from, in fact, this month makes 10 years because I started in May of 2015.
Man.
Thank you so much.
How you feel?
Tired.
Yeah, you run a brokerage.
I do run a brokerage. My wife and I run this brokerage, and I started it just as an agent, as a side job. I was just going to I was a performing musician at the time, and I thought that, if I could make a $4,000 or $5,000 check every few months, that'd be a nice addition to the 60 I was already making as a performing musician. And fast forward 10 years later, we're running a brokerage that has built itself to support agents.
You got a cool new office, man.
Hey, I appreciate that. Yes, thank you. It's all coming together for sure.
Yes.
Is it easy? No, it definitely is a heavy load. There are even times where I feel like, what am I doing this for?
Yeah.
Who am I doing it for? And but when agents come in and their eyes are so big and bright and hunger is deep within them, and they go out there and they're doing $1 million deals, and they're saving their buyer clients $40,000 in potential price that they didn't pay, and one
They can
agent
do that because of you.
I appreciate that. And I'm just trying to impart the knowledge that I've gained in 25 years of sales and 10 years of real estate, which kind of leads me to where you are now. And I have a question that's burning in my mind now that you're close to becoming a partner, which is unbelievable at New York Life. What aspects of the foundation that you experienced here helped you in that?
Well, real estate is 10 times harder. I'll tell you that. Real estate is 10 times harder. For one, whenever I talk to people, it's easier to talk to them about investing $10 to $20 or maybe $100, if that's the case, as opposed to telling somebody, hey, you need $10,000 to close. It's like, hey, we need to deduct this price $20,000. So I'm not here to say I don't respect realtors. I do.
Absolutely. It's a different game.
It's a different game.
And tougher.
The reason I was able to succeed in New York Life in 6 months as opposed to real estate within 6 months is because of all the hardship that came out of real estate.
Oh, yeah, the grind.
Yeah, because I went in there and I got no's, and I was like, I already had no's for 3 years.
I'm used to that. Let's go.
This is nothing. I used to call listings every day. It's fine.
That's right.
So, that was the biggest thing that drove me, because a lot of people that don't come from industries like real estate, I would say real estate, I don't think there's anything else like real estate, but where you have to get a lot of no's when they don't come from that, it's really hard to take that job.
It is.
I've seen many people at our office just come and go just because they couldn't make it. They don't know how to call people. They don't know how to tell them, hey, you need to invest. They don't know how to have confidence in themselves, talk to them in a certain way, know how to read the room.
Indeed.
Yeah, stuff like that. So they come and go. And these are people that are graduating from college, have 4-year degrees, people that maybe have worked in this field before. So the one thing that real estate taught me was grit. And I feel like that really does go back to all the people that I had to deal with.
It's true.
Because now I'm just like, this is nothing. This is easy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the hardest part was the Series 7. So, yeah.
Absolutely, because you have realtors that don't want to work with you and are being hard. You have clients who turn around and no matter what even if you bend over back for them, they turn around and try to sue you.
Yeah.
So that industry, coming to an industry where someone is a little easier to talk to, and you do have the skill sets of how to present properly and how to overcome objections and how to keep pushing forward through the no's. I imagine that when someone sees the benefit for them, you don't have the same amount of pushback that you have from the real estate industry. Yeah.
Because, It's different. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, it's more of like in real estate, you basically have to grab somebody and tell them, hey, this is good for you. Because they don't know. They don't know what working with a realtor does. But I was just thinking about this because I'm about to buy a house now. I saw this house that was for sale by owner, and I was like, do I really want to work with a for sale by owner? They don't know anything about due diligence. They don't know anything about contracts. If they don't sign a contract, they could walk out anytime, waste my time. So if I'm thinking about that, I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that makes it tough, man. So what's different about your lifestyle now versus when you were at Guitar Center?
Oh, a lot. So Guitar Center, 9 to 10 or 9 to 9.
Indeed. Yes, indeed.
And no control of my time, of course. No freedom. Had somebody above me. Her name's Brittany, amazing person. She taught me, what I needed to learn at Guitar Center about sales. She's great. But I had no control. I had no control over my time. It limited me because I feel like there's a specific kind of person that it takes to be in real estate, and that's the kind of person that wants to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
And you need to want more, and I wanted more. So the biggest thing was that now, and I noticed this the other day, it's like I could choose not to go to work.
Yep.
I could choose to just say, I'm going to stay home.
Yep.
I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to go to Vietnam.
Right.
Yeah.
If you feel like doing it.
Yeah.
You have the capital and the time.
Yep. So also being in real estate and being now where I'm at, I finally feel like that person that says if I had to start back from zero, it would probably only take me a year to get where I am again.
Right.
Because back in the day at Guitar Center, I could have never said that.
Right.
I would have been like, I could probably go work at Best Buy. That's it.
Yeah,
right.
right. Yeah. What can I do vertically?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or not vertically, horizontally. You know what I mean? Switch into a same industry.
But now it's just up.
Oh yeah.
It's my life has changed a lot. I'm about to buy my second house. I retired my mom. I bought my brother a car. I'm going to Vietnam actually. I'm going to Florida. Time's good. Everything to me is just perfect. It's hard. I'm not I feel like on social media everything looks easy.
Of course.
But it's hard.
It's still a grind, just a different kind of grind.
It's a different kind of grind. Now I have to learn products. I have to learn every single day about, investments. I have to be sharp, just like I was in real estate. It's just a different kind of sharp. And man, so it's hard, but it's worth it.
Yeah. 100%.
And anything that is easy,
it's not worth it.
Yeah. I want the hard stuff. So yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone who's, say, stuck at a 9-to-5 and considering, oh, it's commission only. Can you really survive?
Yeah. Well, if they're thinking like that, I would just say stay. Because honestly, we don't need people like that. We don't need people that are going to be just comfortable. And that's what I've learned. I don't, because I'm hiring people now too. I don't want comfortable people.
Right.
I want people that are willing to take that chance like I was.
Yes.
I have one person, and I'm going to shout him out. His name's Alfredo. He's moving all the way from Houston.
Wow.
Over here. He's quitting his job that he's been at for 5 years to come work with us. Because he knows that we're their number 4 team in the nation.
Right.
And we're talking like advisors that have been in the business for 20, 30 years. We beat them.
Wow.
We're number 4.
That's amazing.
And he said, I want to come work with you because I know you guys are great and I'll get the right mentorship.
Yeah.
So if somebody like that can see the value with New York Life, I don't see why people don't see it with you. Because honestly, a lot of these brokerages don't offer what you offer. You are hands-on, meaning that you go to listing appointments, you take pictures, you teach people how to negotiate. You do everything that a beginner agent needs to know in order for them to actually succeed. And that's where I feel like a lot of people leave real estate with a nasty taste in their mouth. Mine was different. But,
Sure.
But when they first start, is because they get partnerships or mentors at different brokerages with people that aren't even in it full time.
Yeah.
I remember one of my good friends that ended up leaving real estate. He got stuck with a mentor that this was just her part-time job because her husband worked in the oil field.
Holy.
She did nothing. She didn't help this girl at all. And I don't see her selling any houses now. Wow. So it's like, if everybody had this kind of knowledge coming in, man, real estate would be killer. Because honestly, anybody that joins this brokerage, I've seen it, turns into like real estate killers. They're amazing.
I agree with that, actually.
Yeah.
Some true rock stars have come through here. And I've learned to recognize like what I saw in you and what I saw in some others here. When, like you said, someone is willing to do the work, has a desire. I can give you the tools, the resources, and the plan of action, but I'm not laying in your bed with you when you wake up in the morning. Like, you have to get up and want to get up. That's something that's within that person.
Yeah.
So I can definitely build upon that, and which is why we've started to design that Bridge University that has all of what you just described in a format that's, digestible, understandable, quizzable, to see if you actually truly understand, both interactive, where it's video and reading as well, just to ensure that those concepts and those principles are imparted in a way that is like on demand.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. I've been at a lot of brokerages as well. A lot of it's antiquated because it's that puppy mill mentality, like what you were saying, not really super involved in what the skill sets that it takes for them to penetrate the market. At the end of the day, it doesn't help me to have a roster of 100 agents if only 10 are producing.
Yeah.
Now, if I can gain 5 agents and turn them all to producers with the skill sets, I'm happier with that than I am having 100 agents that don't produce and just hang around and drink coffee. I mean, you're just eating up my resources, you know, and it's already a heavy load.
Yeah, which I feel like it's super smart that you have interviews for real estate agents, because I feel like some brokerages would just let anybody in. They'll just be like, we need people, because they have a quota. They need to hire a certain amount of people, or they need because that's their job. They need to have that certain amount of people. And I like how this is like more family oriented.
Yes.
I'll be honest, that's one thing that I like about you and my partner Min. It's all family. It really is. It's like every person around you comes from a friend of a friend.
That's right.
And you can all like build into the culture.
Absolutely.
Whenever you have 100, 200, 1,000 agents, it's hard to have that because not everybody sees the same.
Right.
So whenever you have a brokerage like this, where you have somebody that's hands-on, it's much easier to build that culture and keep it thriving, as opposed to when you have a big brokerage, you let anybody in and one person could just ruin the culture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One bad apple spoils the bunch, and especially with there being so much division in our local real estate industry already. When you stick 1,000 people in a room, I mean, you're going to have nothing but cliques all over the place, So I agree with you there. I think it's important to have a community and a culture of iron sharpens iron, where, hey, man, I may help you and you may help me, but we'll never know that if we're not in the same room and talking to each other.
But I feel like with real estate, it's kind of like you're working with your enemies in a way,
Yep.
Because I remember this one class I had at a certain brokerage. I'm not going to say which. It wasn't yours. It was the one prior, where they had this person who apparently was doing amazing. She had her own team and whatnot. She was teaching us how to make calls. Not one thing about making calls. It was all about, like, you need to be enthusiastic. You need to do this. And then I called and I'm like, well, what do I do whenever, I get rebuttals like this, and this? And they're like, you need to ask your broker that. You need to ask your team leader that. And I'm just like, why am I here then?
What's the class for?
Yeah, what is this class for?
Yeah.
It's because the people that are in the same room as you, they don't want you to succeed, which is the downside. Because that's their potential, commission too.
It is.
So that's one thing. I feel like real estate is going to be divided, but the best way to stay, I guess, successful is to find a family that isn't going to bring you down for their own benefit.
I completely agree.
Yeah, because certain people, if they're not on top, they're not going to help you.
That's right. It's
over here, you know more than anybody.
I do.
And yet you're helping people that don't know anything.
Happy to help.
Make more money out of a deal.
Yeah.
So it's like some agents will look at that and be like, it's too good to be true, but it's the reality.
Yes.
And that's, I think, what I really respect about you, because if it was about money, you'd be charging people 70%, they'll get 30%. But in reality, you have even splits. Yep. You teach these people, and even if the splits are a little higher, you give them more than what any other brokerage does. And there's probably going to be, and let me just say this here, people that have been in this brokerage watching this, and they'll be like, oh, nah. This brokerage. I'm the prime example.
Agreed.
Not them.
Agreed.
Because they're going to watch this. Who was the best salesman?
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
So
it's truth.
If anybody should look at, okay, what does Kiwi represent?
Yeah.
They should look at me.
Truth.
Because you took somebody who didn't know anything, now one thing, and you turned them into a top producer within a year.
It's truth.
You took Taylor. She just sold, what, $1 million property?
Yeah. Saved her buyer $100,000 on the negotiations.
And that's not even it right there. people that say that your methods don't work just didn't apply themselves. Because who's at the office every day? I was.
That's right.
Who's at the office every day? Taylor was.
That's right.
Who was at the office every day? Leo was.
That's right. That's
the
right.
people that actually show up were the people that actually win.
I
that
agree
follow
with
the
that.
methods, that do everything that you tell them to do. Now, the people that don't, they make excuses.
That's on you.
Yep.
I can't, like I said, I can't be there with you in the morning, waking up and make you get out of bed.
Yeah.
I can provide the tools and resources, but I can't make that desire in you. And I appreciate you saying that, because I was just talking to an agent yesterday who was interviewing another brokerage right after hours. And he said when he left, he was so motivated. He was like, man, like the environment, like the culture, like I want to get out of here and I want to go to work. And I'm like, well, that's kind of what we do here. And I wanted him to know. And so I shared with him kind of what you just said, that in my experience in the beginning, when I was out of brokerage, I said, people like you and me, and like you and me, because I told him, because he represented a memory of myself and of you when I first met you. When you see that drive within someone where they're willing to walk through fire, we're a threat to people.
Yeah.
So my experience, and I shared this with him at another brokerage, because I'm super competitive. I was always top sales every organization I was a part of. So when I got into real estate, it was no different. And I was at a team meeting, which is the whole brokerage, right? And I had recently had a bunch of success with expireds. So I wanted to move into for sale by owners, because I had a great track record already, and haven't approached that conversation. Top producer sitting right next to me. Hey, man, I'm thinking about moving into for sale by owners. What does that conversation look like? He turns to me. Depends. And that was it.
Yep.
I was blown away. I even told my team leader at the time, I said, why is it that the top producers hold on to their information like it's currency?
It's not a team sport.
It's not, and what I wanted to develop here and share with that agent I was interviewing yesterday is that people like you and me and you, we're a threat to the status quo, because we're doing things better, we're doing it faster, but we're doing it our way, which is a little different thinking than what most people are. And if you're not in the right environment, you're going to ruffle some feathers. And it's not going to be great for your career.
Because they already have a certain culture. And if you don't fit that culture.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. So I appreciate you saying that, because it's true. Like, people are not so willing to help a new person. And that's one of the things I wanted to create here at Bridge is, look, it's not a cookie cutter training program. It's not a mentor program. What are your skills? Where are you at in your life? What do you want to do? And let's give you a customized action plan and training program to suit that. Because like when you first started, you wanted to do wholesales and, kind of find off-market properties. And then you moved to for sale by owners. And then you moved to expires and then buyers. And you just wanted to work it all,
and social media and then out-of-state deals. Which I did all of it.
You did it all, and whatever you want to do. Like, hey, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. Here's the paperwork. Here's a script. Here's how you close, et cetera, et cetera. And
it's much easier when you have a team behind you. So, yeah.
Very much so.
And like you said, you're actually willing to teach me. Imagine if I would have went to you, and this is the exact same scenario. Kiwi, I want to start doing expired calls. How does that look like? And then your broker just tells you, depends. Or go ask this team. And you go ask them, and they're like, why we're going to help you?
Why would we help you?
Yeah.
Exactly right.
I'm not getting anything out of it.
100%.
So, yeah, the real estate as a whole, that is one of the biggest things. Is like, no, it's not a team sport. As much as people within the same industry try to make it a culture, like I'm not going to say any brokerages, but it's not. All the classes, they're not going to teach you anything. As somebody who's been in this business, I'll tell you that when I did learn, it was here. I did not learn it at other brokerages. I did join some calls with like a cloud brokerage just to see, because they were like, oh, come to one of our calls to see what it is that we teach. All blank stuff.
Wow.
All like in front of the curtains kind of thing. Like, yeah, I know that. That's
overgeneralized.
Yeah,
kind of basic information.
Yeah. So it's like I'm not gaining anything. The only place I've actually gained knowledge is here.
Wow.
So
thank you so much for that, man. So Ian, I appreciate you coming on and doing our flagship, podcast, and I think it was very informative, heartfelt as well. There's some things that you mentioned in this podcast that I didn't even know, so I appreciate you sharing that with me. Mm-hmm. If you had to sum up your experience here at Bridge in one sentence, what would that sound like?
Let me think. Mm-hmm. I would say that this is family. There's a reason I'm here doing this podcast. Even though, I'm not actively in the business. I could easily just come in here and tell people, come work with me. But I'm telling them, no, come work with Kiwi. Because honestly, or like, go work with this broker over here. Go work with this other person. I truly believe that this brokerage has amazing potential.
Thank you.
Because I've been in the business long enough to know what I don't want and what I shouldn't have had starting off.
Yes.
And I'm one of thousands that actually did good because I had the right mentorship.
Wow.
I would not want to be that person that gets into real estate with the mindset of, I'm going to make millions, I'm going to do all this, and being broken down by the culture of other brokerages that doesn't want to actually see you succeed.
Oh man, that's a heavy statement.
Yeah, because all they want is numbers. All they want to say is that we're the top brokerage, but you're not the top brokerage because everybody's producing.
That's right.
You're the top brokerage because 2 or 3, 4, 5 of them are producing.
That's right.
What about the rest? You don't think about them. What I like about this brokerage is the fact that every single person in here, you could go up to one of them and they'll have the same information that the other person has.
That's right.
Everybody has an equal opportunity to be successful. Now, whether you take it, that's up to you. Because there's been many people at your brokerage that have gotten the same opportunities as me, as Taylor, as Kaizen.
Absolutely.
But they didn't take it, either because they were too scared or they weren't as motivated as us.
By choice, though.
Yeah, by choice.
By choice.
But what they can't say is that they did not receive the same amount of knowledge, the same amount of time, and the same amount of effort from you than everybody else. And that's what I like about this brokerage. The fact that everybody that joins is going to get a piece of Kiwi.
Oh, yes.
Is going to get that gem.
Open book.
Exactly. The gem, And you're not going to get that anywhere else. Right. There might be one brokerage that I don't know about, so I don't know.
It's possible.
It's possible, right? It's not impossible. But from what I know and what I understand is that I would not be here if it wasn't due to bridging you.
Man.
Because if I would have got stuck with somebody else, I don't know. I probably would have foreclosed on my house, never sold that much.
Gosh. That would have sucked, dude.
And imagine for the people that really do leave their jobs and get stuck with somebody like that, because the systems are so broad that you can't really, have hands-on experience.
Agreed.
If somebody wants to join real estate, want hands-on experience, wants to actually be successful, wants to be treated more like a professional as opposed to just somebody at a brokerage, I say give Bridge a chance.
Man. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate all your words, and I'm honored by them. Try to keep it together. My family and I work very hard to provide this platform for those who want to better themselves and their situations. I will definitely say that I've had some personal issues with pouring into people that leave. And honestly, that's probably more of my own issue and trauma from being abandoned as a young boy. So I can't really hold those folks responsible. And in some ways, I feel like I failed those folks that left. And I do realize now that it is a part of the business. And like you were saying in this, I can provide everything that we're providing here, but I can't make you do it, and you're going to make up your own reasons for whatever that is, going forward. But I want to say thank you for your motivating and kind words about your experience here, because we do live, breathe, and eat it.
Every day.
It's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So, before I get all crazy emotional, I just want to say thank you, and I wish you the absolute most success.
Thank you, man.
Congratulations on your Series 7.
Thank
you. I know you're going to make partner, and I hope that as we continue to move forward, we see each other succeed in the ways that we want to.
We will, and we're going to each help each other up, man.
Absolutely.
Because that's what you taught me.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.